What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to the 15th annual WWE Best and Worst End of the Year Awards here from SmarkOutMoment.com. This Smack Talk podcast is going to tell you what we liked and disliked over the course of World Wrestling Entertainment for this year. 15th annual, oh my god. I am your host as always, Tony Mango, joined as always by Robert DeFelice.
Hello, Tony. I am here. I'm your co-host for the evening, or for the whenever you're listening to this. And
it is 11:46 p.m. on the 16th of December. We just got done Monday Night Raw. We just got spoilers for next week's Raw.
we're here to talk about the best of times. We're here to talk about the worst of times. And, I think a word that's going to come up a lot across these particular awards is apathy.
So this is the little behind the scenes on this. I don't know exactly when these are going to be posted in whatever fashion that they are going to be posted. I was kind of planning on publishing these for the award, not the awards. I'm looking at the things that's awards right now for the early access side of things whenever we do them. So whenever we get done this recording, I'll have this up on YouTube and people will be able to listen to it. I don't know when I'm going to schedule it for everybody else, but we are trying to record at least the technical skills awards tonight. We might do more, we might not, I don't know. And we might have like this and then the AEW awards, and we might kind of have them staggered. I don't know exactly how we're going to do it. So I guess just look around and you'll see. I don't know what the future has in store, but I do know what our game plan is as far as what we are going to be talking about. And this is our usual setup that we do here. If you are brand new to the End of the Year Awards, a very simple explanation is we like to do things a little differently. Instead of just talking about the best of the year and basically just saying, match of the year and the best superstar of the year or whatever, we like to also talk about the worst, because it's not like it's just all farting out rainbows left and right. And that's what stands out a little bit differently from Smark Out Moment, is we talk about the good and the bad. So the awards have been tweaked over the years. We've settled down to basically the setup that we have now, we've had for the past few years or so. It seems like it's kind of the most efficient. There's still always a chance that we could tweak things in the future, but we're actually keeping the awards the same as they were last year, and we're going to run them down in 3 separate categories. We're going to start off with the Technical Skills Awards. Eventually, we're going to move over to the Writing Awards, and then we're going to go over to the Performer Awards. Same thing is going to be the case with AW, but obviously click on that when we get around to the AW stuff. But the first part here on YouTube is going to be the technical skills. When I take this and I put it all on one big feed for the audio only platforms like Spotify and stuff, it's just going to be one big WWE Awards, one big AEW Awards. So, that's why it's not going to be separate things there. But hey, 15th annual of these. You know what some of our tropes are. You know what we like. If you've been following throughout the year, you know what we've been enjoying, what we've not been enjoying. And I'm going to give you a breakdown of what these awards are as we go along, too. So you can join in on the fun in so many different ways. If you are over there on your Discord server, chat it up. Tell us what your awards are. Make your whole list. Do all that thing. If you're on YouTube, leave your comments below. Tell us what you think about what we pick. Tell us what you think about what your options are. Also, make sure that if you are on YouTube, make sure that you are subscribed, hit that like button, ring that notification bell, click on the join button, get access to the same stuff as the Patreon. If you are on the early access thing, thank you for that. That's why you get that post a little bit earlier than everybody else does. I don't know when I'm going to publish this. It'll probably be somewhere around the 19th or so you'll get a little bit of advance. But Redbubble and TeePublic is where you can pick up your merchandise. Make sure you fill out that feedback survey that I have on the sidebar of SmarkOutMoment.com too. That way we come around to the beginning of the year and we do our end of the year recap of everything. We can kind of get a better idea of what to do going forward. Probably should have put a graphic up here about the feedback survey, but if you can't follow the instruction of go to SmarkOutMoment.com and look on the right, then I don't think me having the graphic on screen is really going to change anything, to be honest. So technical skills, we have the best and the worst of every single category on here. So, you ready to get started, Rob?
I am ready to get started, and I'm excited to see what we have to say about WWE for this year, and I don't know if you guys had touched on it on air, but obviously it is just us for this one. Callum is not here because Callum doesn't really watch WWE, so we didn't think it would be fair to have him here.
It would be kind of a waste of his time. He would probably just say, I don't know, for all these answers, and it would just make the podcast go longer and all. But if Callum so chooses, he can always just tell us his best and worst for different things on another, Darkcast or something. Maybe a quick rundown, maybe something in the comments, even if he just wants to leave a comment or whatever. I don't know. And if you really want to know what his best and worst are, you can, send him tweets, bug him at Wigmeister14 and be like, Callum, let me know, He will be on the AEW side of it, though, and I'm sure he'll fill in the blank for a lot of the things that I will be forgetting from AEW. But I have a bigger list on WWE than I do on AEW, and we're going to start off this with the best and the worst entrances of the year. This takes into account everything, whether it is a one-time appearance, like a special thing like WrestleMania, where they usually upgrade their things. It could be the same thing that they do every single time that they come to the ring. You got your pyro, you got your lighting, you got your music, what they do during their entrance, all that stuff is factored in. So I actually have not yet picked many definitive this is my choice for a lot of these awards yet. I'm going to read out my honorable mentions that I have listed for most of these if I don't have a definitive choice already, and then I'll make that decision as I go along here. But I do have a decision made for best entrance of the year. So as per usual, stop me if this is your choice, and then, we can kind of backtrack and do whatever. But here are some of my honorable mentions for best entrance of the year. I always liked Chase University's entrance. I like how they get the crowd involved and all. I would go with an honorable mention that really, really comes close to winning this is Cody Rhodes. In general, Cody Rhodes has a great theme. It's very interactive. He's got good pyro. I really liked his WrestleMania entrance with the Nightmare, American Nightmare logo mask and everything.
The skull mask and all that. Yeah.
And Brandy by his side and all. Shout out to Jey Uso. Pretty great entrance, grand scheme of things.
Jey Uso, and was it specifically Backlash? Where he
huge crowd.
Yeah, and they had the fireflies going, and he felt like a big deal there. Yeah, so that's really cool. It's always great.
I have a little shout out to Ludwig Kaiser for bobbing his head to his theme that he's been doing lately. Have you noticed that?
I have not, but I love Ludwig. I think he's going to be a huge deal.
I've got Obafemi as one of my more favorite entrances, just because I love his theme and I love how he's just kind of like hyping himself up and everybody's whoo. It's like dun dun whoo dun dun whoo.
He has like a little flare strut, and
it's like it's kind of infectious.
Once I heard him compare it to a flare strut, I was like I couldn't unsee it. But yeah, he's great, just in general.
I've got one of my more favorite, like, kind of spooky ones. The Wyatt Six is another honorable mention.
We don't see them enough. They're gonna come up for me later.
They're not going to be on much of my year awards. I'll say that. Of course, have to give a shout out to an entrance that I hum or sing along with every single time. Whoop that trick. What? Whoop that trick. Yeah, whoop that trick.
In terms of in general, like, he might be my favorite, like, regular entrance. You know what I mean? Because Booker T just makes that entrance so special.
I also have on my honorable mentions one that I don't know if it technically counts, but it does in my mind. Joe Hendry.
Yeah, I would say it counts.
Say his name and he appears on my list at least. But my ultimate choice for best entrance is specifically Roman Reigns from WrestleMania. That version of his theme with the choir and the drums in the background of that, epic music. Fantastic. And it had that big fight feel, and it's like Cody just had his big entrance, and it's like, how are you going to top that? And it's, this is like main event, you know?
Similar to you, I have a lot of WrestleMania entrances on my list. Cody was one of them. I liked Bailey's. I know you didn't. I liked
I
Bailey's
wasn't a
little
big fan of the Egyptian thing.
Egyptian thing. Big fan of everything she got to do at WrestleMania this year. I really enjoyed the Roman one, like you mentioned, but I think my favorite entrance for the year is going to be Final Boss Rock at WrestleMania, because even though I felt like the phrase, Final Boss Unlocked or whatever that came out right before the theme, I thought the entrance was special enough with the burning, Brahma Bull logo, and he has his signature People's Championship belt. I thought it was special enough that to me is what WrestleMania entrances should be, you know? So that's my entrance for the year. Also, shout out to Rhea Ripley for getting her favorite band to play her to the ring at WrestleMania as she defends the World Championship. I love moments like that, because who would really think that you'd get that far, you know?
It's cool to see in this era that there are things where it's like, man, it would be neat if they did blank, and then they do it.
Yeah, exactly.
It'd be neat if they brought back that Winged Eagle title for Saturday night's main event, and then they're like, here's the Winged Eagle for Saturday night's main event. And you're like, oh, hell yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
that almost got my interest of the year just for the Winged Eagle Championship, because that's a beautiful title, like that's they should keep it, honestly.
Maybe Owens will keep it. We don't know what's going to happen on SmackDown. It's a
spoiler. That's very fresh in the memory as we record this.
So let's flip the script and let's talk about the worst entrances of the year. Now, here are some of my honorable mentions. Again, stop me if it's your pick. AJ Styles WrestleMania. I wrote down apparently on this. This is my note. Let me specify on this. Actually, I didn't say this beforehand. Before we got started, I have had the least amount of notes for the end of the year awards this year compared to any other year ahead of time. 2024, as we've mentioned before, absolutely crazy year. I never want to go through that again. And it really made it hard for me to keep track of things throughout the year. I kept telling myself, well, I'll do one kind of recap at the end of the month, and then every end of every month it ended up being like something crazy is going on and I forgot about it. Next thing you know, it's the next month and all that. So there are probably lots of things that I'm forgetting that I normally wouldn't have had. But when I did write things down, I tried to write down some specific notes to make it a little easier for myself. And I wrote down on this, AJ Styles WrestleMania XL, debut of a new theme that sucks, and then he goes straight to fighting LA Knight immediately to undercut it as well. Now,
yeah,
there are worse ones, so that's not going to get my pick.
But that is also a terrible theme.
It is. It's pretty bad. I have down Awesome Truth because The Miz is never on beat.
I think that's just a negative for the year.
Yeah.
The idea of Awesome Truth is just one of the worst things that happened this year.
I have nearly every Bailey entrance because she not only has had more than one theme this year that I haven't liked, but they've even botched which theme she had. And I just don't think she has anything going for her entrance. She comes out to music I don't like, and she just goes to the ring. So that's not.
It's hard, right? Because I understand completely being a 30-year-old woman and being like, yeah, I don't want to be
the hugger thing anymore.
Portraying a 12-year-old, like I get it, but at the same time, that character had so much persona to it,
And then she just was devoid of it ever since then. Bailey's never bounced back for me.
She's gotten more personality in recent years, but it's been rough.
I've got Carlito's new theme.
Oh, fuck yeah, that sucks.
Hate that one. I've got Eddie Thorpe doing that dance that he does to the ring. That I don't know exactly what it's supposed to be. But
not my culture. I'm not even going to trying to knock that.
Eddie Thorpe's going to pop up a lot on my list because I don't think that, It doesn't even have to be like a cultural thing to me, because like I don't quite understand the Siva Tao thing that the Usos used to do, but I thought that was really cool. Eddie Thorpe just looks like he's constantly tripping. I think it's him that I don't really like. He's probably a nice guy. I don't mean it like that. You know what I mean? I've got Ilya Dragunov written down with just the note Animaniacs, because every time his theme comes on, I think of that song.
He's so good though. Like,
I don't like that theme. I hate that theme. It was so much better when he had his other one. I've got Io Sky, because when she does her whole head bobbing thing, like that, she's like, drunken master or something. I think it's just too silly. Jimmy Uso is on my honorable mentions. Katana Chance and Kaden Carter, because they were supposed to be the party girls, and they come out there and they look like they are not supposed to be there, and that nobody is interested.
Isn't that funny though? Because reality, they are. They're party girls. They're genuinely very close, and you don't get that vibe on TV.
No, and they do this like, you've got like the little guns that they bring out to like try to get the crowd interested. Nobody pops for it, and Kaden just like kind of does her little like hip wiggle thing, and Katana's just laying down in the ring. Like, they couldn't have thought of anything a little bit more bombastic on that. It's really stupid, and I don't think that they have ever had like a seriously positive reaction. Also, don't think I've heard anybody sing along N A O M I. Oh my god, I hate Naomi's theme.
Yeah. Not great.
But my choice for the worst is a very specific one.
Okay. I like specific.
Natalia from the April 4th episode of Main Event. This is when she tried to give her glasses to a kid with sensory headphones on. And the kid refused it, and then she tried to get a high five out of the kid, and the kid refused to give her a high five as well.
That's not fair. Stop.
So Natty just basically like, okay, I'm gonna force a high five thing, and well, I'm going to the ring.
Come on.
That's my worst entrance of the year. You know that these end of the year awards, if there's something kid related, it tends to go in a mix here.
My worst is very simple. At WWE Bad Blood, which took place in Atlanta, they had this like marching band perform Kingdom for Cody. It went viral. They did this at their school or whatever. It went viral. It sounded great in the viral video. They did not get it together for the live performance, and it just kind of felt like bleh, because you want to be able to go whoa, and it was just all off, and that can ruin the experience.
No.
Exactly.
Any others that stand out to you?
I feel like this is mean, but it's a genuine concern every year at this point. Every woman's entrance in the Royal Rumble, almost. Because, I don't know who these fucking people are. These theme songs are so indistinguishable. Like, I don't know who's coming out.
A lot of the men's, too, really. It's hard to tell, but the women's have, like, they have even worse themes when it comes to most of them. It'll take a good, 5 seconds for it to be like, okay, and the graphic says, okay, that's Zoe. Okay,
I do hate Naomi's theme change.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's more of a theme change, but I do hate that. I think getting rid of Carlito's OG theme is ridiculous. You might as well have let him go again, because people popped like crazy last year at Backlash for that theme. Those are the ones that stick out. I mean, if I could shit on Def Rebel for this entire podcast, I would. Terrible, and I mean, so terrible that they know they're terrible. Solo, the new Bloodline theme, I don't love either. Solo's another one who I don't know. I don't know if he'll be on a lot of worsts, but it's not great. you know.
So let's pivot over then to another one here: the best and the worst clothing / attire / ring gear, whatever you want to. It could be the regular ring gear, it could be a special one that they have. This is one of the ones I didn't pick yet between these, but let's actually start with the worst here. I have a couple down for my worst ring gear things. I've got Andre Chase.
Yeah. I don't like the whole wrestling in a fucking sweater.
Brooks Jensen. He kind of looks unkempt in like some bad ways. Charlie Dempsey is very generic and bland.
Oh, but it works for him.
It does, but it's like, everybody has generic stuff, and I think you could at least wear something where at least your name is on it or something, I've got Kevin Owens down for the same basic reason, but I wouldn't probably pick him. And I give a shout out to Lexus King's beard.
Ooh, there's something to be said for that.
But the fact that they call so much attention to it makes me go, I probably won't go with that. So I think instead I'm going to go with the other honorable mention that I have written down here. Uncle Howdy's mask. Why is he still wearing this mask?
I was thinking a Wyatt 6 when they're wrestling in general.
Yeah, you could just group them all together, yeah.
Because it's weird what they're doing with these guys. And they're going to come up a lot, unfortunately, in some not so great ways, which I feel very bad about. Yeah, that's really, really not great. Let's see. I'm sort of unlike you, where I had like some generic ones down for best, but I couldn't really think of too many for the actual worst, because everybody's kind of blasé now. It's not like when you look at like let's say what's an outfit that stands out where you're just like, oh, but like Triple H's power shorts in 2003, where he just suddenly stopped wearing trunks, and you're just like, that's terrible. If I really had to think about it, I would probably say that my worst is Tangloa, but that's just because I don't like him. Again, I guess this isn't the worst problem to have, but like a lot of people just don't have gear that stands out to me in a negative way.
Now, on a positive, I have a lot more written down. And this is kind of one of those things that's easy throughout the year, and I probably should have written down more descriptive explanations of these, because I just have down, like, for instance, Zelina Vega Royal Rumble. And I had to just like Google that real quick, and it's like, okay, it's a character from some video game. I don't know the video game because I'm not much of a gamer, but she's got like these giant like.
She did Street Fighter, was it? That was last year.
It might be the Street Fighter one. No, it's somebody from Tekken, I guess, or maybe somebody, I don't know, but it's like she always does really good gear, and like, she looks great in pretty much anything, but she always ends up having like some cool cosplaying ideas and stuff. And she had whatever it was, that it was like these like big giant like swords or something on her, so I was like, that looks pretty cool. I've got down Lyra Valkyria for NXT Stand and Deliver as an option. I've got,
what the hell did she wear?
Basically like a nicer version of the normal like feathery thing that she has.
Do you not like feathers?
I'm not the biggest fan, but this was like the coolest that she's ever had it. And also from NXT Stand and Deliver, the Carmelo Hayes one, which was like the Black Panther Golden Jaguar habit. That one's pretty cool. Not my favorite of the year, but that one stood out for sure. I got Rey Mysterio down with the Eagles thing for WrestleMania. That was a pretty sweet outfit. I've got a lot of generalized things, like Julia tends to have really good ring gear.
Julia does have really good ring gear.
JC Jane is one of those people that's like underrated.
Might I say Fallon Henley?
Fallon Henley looks great in a lot of things. Jade Cargill, practically every time she comes out, has something cool.
She's a strong contender for my pick.
If it had to go based off of quantity and quality, Jade probably would end up being my pick because she always nails it. She's always got something cool. I think Carmen Petrovic has good ring gear. I think Maxine Dupree looks great in pretty much everything.
Same for Scarlett.
I've got Scarlett down specifically for the December 9th episode of Raw, which now that I'm trying to look that up, I can't seem to find exactly what that was.
Last week.
So I guess I already forgot what that was, even though this just... Oh, wait, now I'm looking at it. I think this is the right one. No, that's just 10 months ago. Okay, well, that one looks good, too. So
I mean, listen.
Yeah,
Scarlett is it's amazing that they don't find reasons to put this woman on the show.
Okay, so this was the... I'll show you the graphic here. I'll set it to you on... Actually, it's the top thing that's on her Instagram right now, I think. It is this one. Which, like, yeah, of course, I wrote that down. I also have Shinsuke Nakamura down.
Shinsuke looked good. Wow.
Talking about Shinsuke, right?
Yeah, definitely didn't just open the Scarlet link that you sent me. Shinsuke does look really cool. I like the new look for Shinsuke.
I've got Stephanie Vaquer down. She's always got some good stuff going on.
Kalani Jordan always has some great stuff going on.
Kalani does. I also have Rhea Ripley from War Games with that mask.
Rhea Ripley from War Games with the mask was one of my top choices as well.
So I don't know who I would go with out of that list. Some of them are definitely weighed higher than others. Like I wouldn't put Petrovic as the absolute top, but I just wanted to give a little shout out to Petrovic.
I almost feel obligated to pick Scarlett after saying wow like that. On a more general sense, Jade Cargill would probably be the overall pick because she and Bianca put so much work into their gear.
I probably would go with that too. Just put like Jade Cargill overall. Like each one of her outfits tends to be as good as some of these other ones, and she does it all the time. So,
I mean, like that's a very strong case. Asuka from WrestleMania had some really cool face paint, and I really enjoyed that look. I also think Cody's WrestleMania entrance gear.
Cody's got some good gear, yeah.
You know, he's got some good gear year round. Priest has, some underrated looks year round. I want to give a shout out to Becky having like stuff from her book on her WrestleMania gear.
Oh, I don't remember liking that at all. I'm surprised I actually didn't write that down. It's worse. If I remember correctly, I remember hating it.
But yeah, I think I would say my number one for best gear this year would be Jade Cargill because she does it all the time and looks great every single outing. But I want to go back to worst because I had to do some digging. And yes, Andre Chase, just in general, terrible look. I would say that Lexus King, shitty beard. But you know what? I'm going to say worst gear, I'm going to tie this into a storyline, is Giovanni Vinci. The man couldn't even take his jacket off to lose in but 3 seconds and hasn't done anything since.
Giovanni Vinci will be popping up more on this list.
So yeah, I'm going to go Giovanni Vinci.
Let's go over to signature maneuver. Now, this could be their finisher, or it could just be a regular setup move. It doesn't have to necessarily be, for instance, the Cody Crossroads. It could be the Cody Cutter. It could be, when you talk about like regular people's moves that are like not quite a finisher, but it's like a little taunt or something like that too. Any of those things, best and the worst, of course. And I had 3 things written down under worst. I had written down when Brutus Creed misses the Brutus ball.
Every time. That has to be a choice.
I had a sort of cop-out answer of all the forgettable ones, because for most people, I couldn't tell you what their finisher is. I couldn't tell you any of their signature moves.
When did that begin for you? Because for me, that's a new phenomenon. But there's a lot of people now where if you said, what is Caden Carter's finisher? I couldn't tell you.
And that's the weirdest thing, is it's not even just like NXT people. It used to be just NXT people, where I'd be like, yeah, I can't tell you what like Cutler James does. And it's like, 'cause I don't even know what Cutler James looks like. But like, what's the finisher of like 75% of the roster? Like,
it's weird.
What is like, I don't know, say we know like Bronson Reed's got the tsunami because they make a big deal out of it. What's Akira Tozawa's finisher?
I know this because I've been watching him for a long time, but it's a senton. It's a diving senton.
Really? Okay. What about at this point, I've lost track of, for instance, like does Isla Dawn have a finisher?
I'm sure she did at one point. I can't remember the last time I saw her win a match.
Is Shayna using anything in particular as a finisher? Even
that's just a Kira Fuda clutch.
She's still using that? Okay. Like,
I mean, if she wins.
And then there's like so many people that never win. Like Elektra Lopez probably's never had a finisher.
I don't know what her finisher is.
Yeah. BFAB? Who knows? So I was like, I'm going to try not to do cop-out answers this year, even though I'm going to mention that it's like a thing in a lot of categories. So instead, I went out of my way to look up one that I was like, this person should have a good finisher, and she doesn't. Bailey's Rose Plant.
Yeah. It's another one of those things. I'm going to say it again. Like I said for the entrance when you knocked it. I understand not wanting to be the hugger, but that Bailey to belly was so perfect, wasn't it?
I was never the biggest fan of that, but at least that was like a move she regularly did where I was like, okay, well.
Were you not a fan of it because it's a belly to belly and you're like, why is finishing
It's not a finisher to me, yeah. But it like that became a signature move where, okay, she hits the Bailey to belly and then she does like a, elbow drop or something. Okay. The Rose Plant face smash DDT thing, it just looks like she falls over and the other person just headbutts the ground. What do you have for worst?
I mean, that's actually really good. Lexus King's little rope hung twisting neckbreaker thing, like largely because I never get to see him win with it. To your point, I don't even know what Charlie Dempsey does for a finish. And he's like a champion.
I don't think he has a specific finish. I think he's one of those like, he just does something in a match and wins types. If he does, he's one of those people that it's like, who the fuck knows?
Another thing to point out, what does someone like Andre Chase do for a finisher? I know he does the give me a C, but what's his finish?
I don't think he has one either. And what's weird about it is like, there are resources out there, if you want to like Google it, that will tell you certain finishers, like the pro wrestling.fandom wiki, for instance. And it'll be like, oh, Gigi Dolan's finisher is like, I don't know, like the Dolan Slam or something. And it's like, fuck you, I've never heard of that shit.
Not the Dolan Slam.
The Gigi Nader or something.
Apparently, okay, so not joking. She apparently does the Gigi Driver.
There you go. See, the Gigi Nader, like, yes.
Which is an abdominal stretch driver.
Okay. Sure, she does.
Sure, I bet you she does.
I trust that as much as I trust whatever Danny Palmer's finisher is. You know what I mean? Like, there's really only a few finishers that stand out anymore. And that's like, not every one of those is great either.
I mean, to the point here, I like this move, but I can't help but giggle every time Jada Parker hits a running ass
slam or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's like, look, I get it, but it might be my worst just because it's so stupid. Like,
She's one of like 3 or 4 people on the roster that's
just
like,
using
I'm
her
gonna
ass.
shove my ass in your face and I'm gonna park this right here, huh? But
I mean,
like,
you probably just put more effort into that than they did.
probably, yeah.
But yeah, I do think that's actually gonna be my worst, unless you can say something that'll jog my memory, because at least that stands out as like, I really hate that this is your finisher. You're running, gaining momentum, and then you smack someone with your ass.
Now, to pivot over to best, one of my honorable mentions I have is just listed as Stephanie Vaquer's thing where she slammed someone's head on the mat while bouncing her butt up and down.
Okay.
Because number 1, it actually looks like it would hurt. And number 2, well, you know.
I mean, yeah.
It's not my pick, but it's one of the honorable mentions that's like, yeah, keep doing that. Like it makes you stand out. It makes you look like you're actually doing something, and it's kind of memorable enough, and there's no reason not to stop. But I do have some other ones on this list that are going to potentially overtake that one. I've got other honorable mentions. Bronson Reed's Tsunami. That splash is great.
Very high up on my list because they've been putting it over the past few months.
Damian Priest's South of Heaven.
I like that better than the Razor's Edge for him.
He does it better, yeah. I like the Razor's Edge, but I like the forcefulness he has of the South of Heaven.
I like the South of Heaven's his own. You know?
I still have Bianca Belair's KOD on the list.
Always
still
a great move. Will
great
always
finisher.
Be a great move.
Braun Breaker's Spear.
Yeah, you know what? Put a pin in that. Maybe let's keep talking, but that might be because he's the fucking man.
The Spear's great, yeah. I've got anyone's good old-fashioned power bomb, such as Obafemi.
Yeah, I was just thinking about Obafemi and Gunther.
Yep, they have great power bombs. I've got Nia Jax's Annihilator.
Oh, you know what?
I don't like how they don't spell it Annihilator.
Do they not? Because I do.
They seem to just spell it Annihilator.
Oh no, so spoiler for if you ever come across one of my articles on Fightful, I like go out of my way to spell it Naya. Like, yeah, like that.
That's what it should be.
It's very interesting. Listen, if we're getting into specifics, it's specifically the Annihilator onto Lyra in Saudi.
Oh, she just murdered her. Yeah.
Fuck.
That was like that Yokozuna bonsai drop on that one jobber where it was just like, whoa, fuck. It's a different form of, if you go with the Annihilator, you're going to go with slams your ass, and then the other one slams your ass.
So it's funny because Stevie Richards, I now you mentioned Yoko, I want to get this out because it blew my mind, did a video where he was analyzing the bonsai drop from Yoko.
Yeah.
And he slowed it down to the point where he shattered the illusion, and he was just like, yeah, Yoko is just standing up and then lightly squatting down.
Yeah.
Unless he doesn't like you, then he's just fucking kicking those feet out and crushing your chest.
Just, and that guy, I'm sure he'd never felt the same after that. But the one I'm going to go with for my pick is Sol Ruka's Soul Snatcher.
Ooh.
That's a hell of a move.
Listen, I think, has it been 2 years already since I was like praising her as like the next big thing in NXT? I think the Soul Snatcher is a great move. To that point, the Oblivion, great move. I think it's a little contrived, but like I've been living with the 619 for 22 years, so I don't really I can't be too mad at it.
Yeah, the 619's a ridiculous move, but it looks cool. So
it's the same thing with the Oblivion, where it's like you would never end up at the ropes at this point. That's okay. Braun Breaker Spear is so good that I would make the argument that Roman should stop doing the move. Like, Breaker's Spear is awesome. And I might have to give the nod to that. There's also, let's not forget, this is the first year back we've had the RKO.
RKO is always a classic.
The Riptides, great. The pinfall after the Riptides, even better.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, if I'm going specific,
Looking forward to that Rhea Ripley, Stephanie Vaquera match.
If I'm going specific,
With Scarlet ringside.
it's Annihilator on Lyra. If I'm going in general, it's Breaker's Spear.
Now, again, everybody, make sure you leave your comments below because maybe you're
honorable
like,
mention because Callum's not here. Gunther's chops.
always like going through chops, yeah. But maybe somebody in the comments is like, you guys are forgetting about, don't know, this one great move that
Javon Evans too.
Jasper Troy does or something.
The Javon Evans doing the flippy dippy doodah.
Bouncy.
With the he tried to do it. Orton tried to catch him, and I don't blame Orton for not catching him in an RKO. That was, you're not gonna fucking get that. That's really hard. But that's also a great move when he hits it.
He's fun as hell. He's you're gonna hear his name another time on this list for me. Speaking of botches and spots, that's the thing we got to talk about here, which is the best and the worst spot and botch of the year. You could call it the coolest spot and the biggest botch, whatever you want to, it's pretty self-explanatory. What's something that they tried to do that it was like, oh my god, this is a cool moment. They did this crazy ass move or whatever it is, or like, whoa, wow, they screwed up really badly on that one, I did have down the RKO from Javon Evans as one of my botches of the year because it was just like, man, like they almost all
whole match.
You're waiting for that moment, and like there's been so many times in the past where it's just worked out, even if it seems like it shouldn't, like that Evan Bourne one, or like that really good Seth Rollins one, and this was one of those instances where it's just like, damn it, I don't have this on my list of biggest botch. And I don't remember if it's because they didn't do it this year and that's why, or if it just was so depressing to me that I forgot to write it down. Did Kofi fail at the Royal Rumble again this year?
I don't think he tried.
I don't think he tried this year. I think that's why it's not on the list.
Which I think is okay, by the way.
It's a shame. But now they can't really do it. Now, if anything, he should try to do that. And, as a heel, it should be like funny. Here are the things I have down on my other honorable mentions for biggest botch. LA Knight swallows his gum on SmackDown during his promo before WrestleMania.
That's funny.
Do you remember that one?
I don't, honestly, but that
he's cutting a promo and his gum just gets he swallows it, so midway through he just has to swallow it and got kind of look on his face like, oh shit, I just nearly choked on my gum. And it's the SmackDown right before Mania, so it's a very important, I'm gonna beat up AJ Styles or whatever
and
type of thing.
And it's the Hall of Fame, and everybody's there.
Yeah, and it's just he's just yeah, well, yeah. I've got Braun Breaker gets his head caught between the ropes when running really fast at NXT Stand and Deliver.
That's fine. Oh shit, I remember that.
Yeah, that could have been a problem.
Dogs. Fucking, that was great this year.
Surprisingly, yeah, they're going to be on my tag team things. It's interesting. I've got this one. It might actually be the one that I pick. Randy Orton's shoulder being way up when Gunther went for the pinfall at King and Queen of the Ring.
So mine is, they turned that into a bit of an angle. So maybe they were just going there.
I literally even wrote down on the thing, and they even try to use another camera angle to hide it in the recap, only for that one to also show it and Corey Graves to say that he'd like to get another angle of it.
Mine is similar to that specific one. It's Money in the Bank.
Oh, I think I might have had this down on here too.
Where it's so clear that it's supposed to be Rollins hits the Falcon Arrow on Priest. Yep. 1, 2, McIntyre comes out. But he doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
Priest doesn't kick out. The ref just stops counting. And it looks like the dumbest fucking thing.
I've got that. It's an honorable mention too. That's not the only Damian Priest one I have. I also have Damian Priest gets his foot caught in the ropes at Clash of the Castle.
Yeah. That was scary.
That was. He could have had a lot of problems for that. He could have hit his head. He could have twisted his ankle. Yeah, any normal things could have happened. I have another Money in the Bank thing. When Tongaloa failed to hit the low blow on Kevin Owens.
Yeah. Look, it's to the point where by the end of it, by War Games, I think they're doing it on purpose with him at this point.
They hire him to be like, can you just kind of like suck?
No, because I think at some point it became like he wasn't even holding up a belt right.
The infamous Tongaloa.
And he did low blow his own brother on the when he was supposed to low blow Kevin Owens. When he tried to slide a table into War Games, the door closed on him. And I at some point it's just a bit.
I've got also down.
Botch is just Tongaloa.
Maybe just about Tongaloa, yeah. I've also got down Carmelo Hayes talking to LA Knight and saying, "Why would LA want to face you?"
Yeah.
And then LA Knight being like, get my fucking name right.
I like that one too.
I've got down Odyssey Jones finally shows up and gets fired 2 to 3 weeks later.
Put a pin in that.
And I have, I think 2 more on my list of, Cody Rhodes comes out at Clash at the Castle, and the graphic for his name says, Women's Tag Team Champions Talent Name.
Love it.
And then I also have LA Knight drops his United States title before he actually drops it to Shinsuke Nakamura at Survivor Series.
There's also LA Knight,
he dropped the title twice that night.
Running up for his superplex thing and slipping several times this year.
Yeah, that happened more than once, yeah.
Yeah.
It happened, I think, more than once with Braun Breaker, too.
And I mean, we're not shitting on it, because,
I couldn't fucking do it.
And I really couldn't do it. So, it is what it is. But, honestly, nothing stood out worse than that freaking Priest Rollins thing. I think I have to stick with that. That was really, really bad. And then maybe there was the War Games chair shots weren't great either from Nia.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Where she's just very casually doing that. Yeah.
She went to the Hulk Hogan school of hitting people's chairs.
Yeah, that was pretty awful. I'm surprised I didn't write that one down too. Best spot or coolest spot. I only have a few written down for that. One that I literally said on my notes, this won't win, but it was cool. That I wrote down from NXT New Year's Evil. This was way early in the year. The first time that we saw Joaquin Wilde's assisted springboard.
You know what's funny is I was thinking about that myself.
That was really cool. And then, you know what? They did it a couple more times, and it just became not as interesting anymore. And he never wins a damn thing. So that helps kind of lower it a little bit. I don't remember this one specifically, but I do have it written down. Kairi Sane temporarily saves herself from elimination at Royal Rumble by holding on to the ring apron.
I feel like I remember that, but it wasn't grand enough to stand out in my mind.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and check it out. But usually throughout the year, if I see something that I think I have to remember that this is something that I might at the end of the year make the win, I usually put a little asterisk next to it, and I didn't. So it must not have been so incredibly great. I have Bronson Reed and Braun Strowman brawl and do that car spot with a tsunami. I like that.
Yeah. I have a couple of tsunami moments on my list.
Do you have the repetitive tsunami with
repetitive
Seth?
On Rollins and the War Games? And honestly, War Games might take the cake because not only did he fuck up his foot, but if you watch that, Punk barely saves Rowan, and it looks tremendous.
Yeah, that one ended up being really well planned. Well, outside of the, injury.
which you can't plan for because
it's some 300 plus pound dude jumping off the top of a cage and landing onto a, table and all. I've also got Chelsea Green falls backward off of ladder onto 2 tables to the outside of Money in the Bank.
That's on my list too.
And then I've got my win. So I'll say my win after you say any other honorable mentions you've got.
Okay, so I've got Tiffany at Elimination Chamber doing the Swanton off the pod.
Don't even remember it.
She was super over in Australia, and she did the same spot at War Games, and it was same time as EO with a trash can, which I just like that. Like now, War Games has become get EO trash can. She's going up. Like what the fuck is that for a whole War Games bit? I also got to throw out there. I don't know if you can call it a spot per se, but I like the moment of Rock beating the fuck out of Cody.
I have my win is whatever you classify that whole gauntlet at the end of Cody and Roman, because to me, that's going to come out multiple times on this list. That was just fucking great.
And that's also, that is mine as well.
It's not like one specific spot. It's not like it's like, okay, well, it's just, you know, Jey Uso tackling Jim Uso off the stage or something like that. But it's like, it's the collective of everything that makes it.
And it was so good. And it's almost been fucking undone by a lot of the Roman stuff since he's come back. But it was so good. You know, honorable mentions as well to Sami Zayn actually hits the Brainbuster.
Oh, that was cool.
There. It was less great because I think Kyle Fletcher just did it like the night before at Supercard. And it was like, if that didn't happen, it would have been super cool because Sammy hasn't done it in forever. I would also say Dijak doing a moonsault on top of the cage to Joe Gacy on NXT. No one's going to remember that. That's okay. I liked... it's funny because I called it a lame move, but I'll give Jada Parker's ass shot this this one where she did it off the ladder and nearly smashed through Lola Vice on another ladder. I thought that was fun. There's a couple of fun spots this year, but if there's an Endgame ending of WrestleMania was so good and was so feel good that it's one of the main moments that like stands out this year without needing to do any research.
Like, this is a very sad way of saying things, but it's not like we haven't already talked about this all year. You just said that it's like the Avengers Endgame moment. That ending was the highlight before everything went to shit in 2024 for me in a lot of ways. And what's funny is Avengers Endgame was like this massive highlight right before the pandemic hit and all this. So it's like they're both like, we're going to give you a really good win here because it's about to fucking suck.
Right. And I think we talked a lot last year about how the biggest botch, or one of the biggest botches, was Cody losing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's cool to say, like, yeah, the spot of the year this year is Cody wins.
Yeah.
And
it's so nice.
It was so nice to just be happy.
I also have written down the pile driver to Randy Orton. Didn't see that one coming.
And you know what? The package pile driver they just did on Saturday Night's Main Event.
Love me some pile drivers when they're not overdone like crazy.
Pile drivers are great.
Good things are good.
Imagine that.
Let's switch over to recognition. This is effectively who is the most underrated and who is the most overrated. So, overrated, I have down two names, and then I have a sort of cop-out answer. The cop-out answer is same as something that I did last time. Anyone who gets stanned by crazy people online.
I can't believe because you're saying that loud.
It drives me fucking crazy when I see, like, I'm looking for reports for NXT Level Up, and people are like, Lainey Reed is a fucking goddess, and it's like, who the fuck is Lainey Reed? You have not seen any of her matches. She might be good. She might end up being great. Relax a little bit. She's wrestled twice. You know what I mean?
See, I'm the exact opposite, because on the rare times that I do need to look up something for Level Up, those people save me. because they're the only ones actually posting
They
clips
are,
of
but
them.
it's still crazy though, because it's like people act like they're like, oh, future 20-time Hall of Famer Kendall Gray, and you're like,
Okay, Kendall Gray, from what I've seen of her, might actually have shot.
and it just that drives me crazy. But that's not really like a true answer because that could be almost anything. So the two people that I really narrowed it down to are, I think my runner up is going to be Finn Balor.
Ooh.
People talk about Finn Balor being like, well, he should win that world title and he should have a massive run and he should be the top guy and he should have been the top guy for 10 years. And I'm like, Finn still doesn't cut a great promo and he's good in the ring. And he's one of those really reliable people in the ring that he could have a good match with a lot of different people. But I can't tell you an absolutely amazing, fantastic match the way that I could with some other people. He's not Shawn Michaels. And I think a lot of people act like he is like the greatest in-ring person in the world and all this. And I'm like, nah, I think he's a little overrated.
I think the WWE run really took a lot of that shine off him.
He's somebody that I think maybe if he would have left and gone to AEW when it first started, that might have been a better option.
If he would have been in early AEW, I would go as far as to say he might be as over as Mox.
Maybe.
Right now.
But my actual overrated, and I hate to bring her name up again, it's Bayley.
Oh, come on.
I did not like her title reign this year. I never like her promos. I don't like her entrance. I don't like her moves. I don't like any of her feuds. I've liked almost nothing from Bayley this year.
That makes me sad.
And it's like, I loved Bayley back in the day. I hate that it's like that, but these past, like, there's been more of Bayley that I've disliked in her career at this point than the Bayley that I've liked.
Wow. Spoiler for your AEW awards. I wonder how much that syncs up.
For
most overrated being someone very closely associated.
Spoiler alert, you know who it is.
Look, overrated is tough, right? Especially in this era because everybody's actually really good, and it gets harder and harder to be like, actually, I didn't love that match as much as I thought I was going to. Like,
it's hard to also like factor in, is it overrated as far as like what elements are people overrating? Because most people tend to go like just in ring, but it's like, well, is it overall? Is it, and then if you look hard enough, you can find people that are going to say Cedric Alexander is the best thing. And then you have other people go, well, no, he's not. So it's like, well, how do you gauge who overrates? So that's why I ended up putting Bayley in there. Cause I'm like, the general consensus seems to be Bayley is an absolute legend and all these other things, which like I'd agree with, like she's a future Hall of Famer and all that. But at the same time, I'm like, I would almost never pick Bayley as like, I really hope she wins the championship and she wins the Royal Rumble and she goes to WrestleMania. I'm like, nah, I'd rather see, if you gave me the option of saying like Bayley wins this next Royal Rumble and faces somebody for WrestleMania or somebody that's on my underrated list, Fallon Henley, I'd be way more interested in Fallon Henley.
I would also be way more interested in Fallon Henley. But I actually like Bayley. I think Bayley she deserved the run that she got this year. It was boring as well. I'm not arguing that point. But it was actually a lot of fun. Again, overrated is very difficult. Because I'm not going to sit here and say Bianca's overrated this year. She didn't do a lot. I can see people making a point for this Liv Morgan's kind of overrated.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy to say that for the most part, CM Punk lived up to my expectations this year and delivered when he needed to. But if I had to like really boil it down to someone who I think at this point is a little overrated because they're just trying to like make it a thing. Not that I'm saying not that I'm saying I don't enjoy his matches, but I'm good on Yeet, bro. Like, do you understand what I'm saying? Like,
You don't agree with Rikishi's assessment that Jey Uso, the
first of
Yeet
all,
Man, should win every title.
First of all, no, no. I don't agree with Rikishi's assessment on anything because why the fuck are we running stories on his nepotism? That's a question I have, Tony. Why are
Yeet
we
Man.
wasting the time? Rikishi says his son should be champion. Okay, sure. Next week, Rikishi says his other son should be champion. Like, the fuck? Who cares? I mean, God bless him. I'm glad they have a supportive father, but what the fuck? Anyway, what was I talking about?
Overrated.
I'm good on Yeet Man. But I can't say that's my most overrated because my most overrated is the Wyatt Six. I'm sorry.
That's a good option though, because like,
look, I am. You go back, check the notes, check the years. Nobody was more of a die-hard Bray Wyatt guy on this podcast than me. Tony was checked out on the Fiend 2 seconds after the Fiend hit the ring.
was I right or was I right?
It's all documented. It's all there. The Wyatt Six had these freaking QR code promos. And at first it's cool. And then it's annoying. Because then you got to piece together. And I'll fully admit, folks, the job part of this for me is what makes it annoying because you have to try to follow this and figure out ways to write a story. But at the end of the day, they put these 6 dudes together and they're creepy and they're kooky, mysterious and spooky. They're all together ooky, but can't do shit when the bell rings. You know, I'm sorry.
No, that's a really good choice. Like, I'm gonna have to retroactively add them down to my honorable mentions.
Because, okay, look, I think that Bo Dallas is great. I don't know what I think about Bo Dallas trying to do this because I haven't seen enough of it, even though they've been on the roster for 6 months? How long have they been on the roster, Tony?
It's 6 been months? A few months at least. At
least three to 6. Dexter Lumis, nobody's clamoring to see him in the ring. I liked Joe Gacy. I was the only one on this podcast, by the way. Check the notes. I liked Schism. Thought Schism was great. I thought Lumis was great. I think Eric Rowan's fantastic. I like all the pieces of the puzzle, but this is the wrong puzzle. It's just the wrong puzzle. The only one doing brilliant work here is Bo Dallas on the promos and Nikki Cross as a creepy horror lady because it just works for her. But it's not great. And I'm sorry. I had to look because unfortunately it's now tied to the legacy of Bray Wyatt. Right?
And it feels weird that if they were to decide that they would give up on this, people would be like, "Oh, you're giving up on Bray," and it's like,
right, and you're somehow retroactively giving up on Harper. It sucks. You know, I don't like saying that I don't like this, but I don't like this.
I will bring them up for one of the worst tag teams. I'll not put it out there. I was, spoil it.
And there's others too. Like Solo is probably being pushed probably on a stage. And again, I don't hate Rikishi's kids. I don't. I think Jey Uso is fantastic. I am personally sick of every other word being yeet. You have forced yeet into situations that yeet does not apply. You know?
Mary Yeetmas and stuff.
You've gotten Roman Reigns got away with not apologizing because he was able to say yeet. Like, it's just it's too much. And then there's probably a few of those bloodline guys where you say, all right, take them out of this story. How do you feel?
Yeah.
You know? And
I can see that.
Probably a lot of that, if we're being honest. And I think we should always be honest. And Andrade, too.
See, Andrade could have been an option for me with this, but then I don't hear really any chatter of people actually clamoring for him anymore.
Yeah, but that's because of this run. When he showed back up at the Rumble, people were like, "Yeah, like he's gonna have some banger matches."
Yeah,
And
that
then he
didn't work.
didn't. And then he didn't.
Um, let's see. Let's go over to the most underrated, which obviously, hey, it's more positive. So, like, yay, let's champion these people. I already mentioned I had Fallon Henley on my list.
You damn right.
JC Jane on my list.
You damn right.
Nobody talks about her, but she is surprisingly good.
She's fantastic.
To keep it in the women's division side of it, Thea Hale.
You damn right. Hey, I'll be clear here. It might have made more sense maybe a month ago, but I'm gonna say Jada Parker here a little bit. I think she's fantastic. I think she's the next fucking big thing. I'll say that right now. I think Jada Parker is the next big breakout star.
She's got a lot of potential. That's for sure. I've got Zelina Vega as an underrated talent.
She's done great this year.
Nobody talks about her, and it's like Zelina's been around forever, and she's she's marketable, and she's like talented enough in the ring, just as good as like most people are. So
put her with Andrade, let them do the thing, and yeah. Listen, I'm the guy, folks. I'll never let black and gold die. You can fuck off. Like,
they did do really well together. Yeah, I've got, this might be controversial, Karrion Kross.
Finally, we're getting to a place where I'm not the only one that sees it. I'll say it again. This fucking guy would have been the biggest deal in any other era but this one.
Yep. You put him in,
I'm talking
especially
Hogan,
like yeah, so I was gonna say especially in like the golden era. Oh my god.
Hogan, Attitude, even Ruthless Aggression, even like the Cena era PG, that dude's getting a world title match with Cena.
He has a giant feud with John Cena. He ends up having a big, maybe he beats Cena for the title at one point and Cena has to win it back. Yeah. Karrion Kross is somebody who just untapped all the time.
He's got the presentation down and everything about the whole package of the Final Testament. You're gonna tell me Kross looking the way he does, Scarlett looking the way she does, the big heaters of AOP, and the mouthpiece of Paul Eller. You're gonna tell me you can't make money with that?
You almost directly quoted an article that is going to go up for me of the biggest winners and losers of AEW for this year, where I said something along the lines of, how do you have one of the most dominant people in NXT, an absolute bombshell, a Hall of Fame manager, and two big brutes that dominated the tag team division,
right?
And could realistically beat like anybody on the roster. You get these people together and you put them in like a semi-spooky package, and it's like, yeah, they fucking blow. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's purely because I don't know, man. Because we can watch so many other better matches. Why would we watch
these
crazy people?
My runner-up though is Damian Priest. This guy was Mr. Money in the Bank, a tag team champion, and a world champion this year, and people still go, yeah, I don't think he's really going to be a main eventer. And it's like, what do you fucking mean?
He came into his own this year. Specifically, that promo with Gunther, leading up to Survivor Series, he felt like himself, and he had a really strong year.
It's crazy to me that people still write him off. It's like, dude's a champion now and all. But the guy I'm actually going to give most underrated to, and Callum would roll, he's rolling his eyes when he's going to hear this one. Ethan Page.
Interesting.
Ethan Page sucked in AEW. Like, he was not on the radar at all. Not even a blip on the radar. And it was like, yeah, okay, Ethan Page is going to pop up. He's going to lose a match, and who fucking cares? Send him to ROH where he can do whatever. And he comes to NXT. He's a natural fit. He wins the championship. He seems to make perfect sense. He's funny. He's had some decent matches. I'm curious to see where he goes in the future. I'm like, all right, this is the most I've ever liked Ethan Page. And people act like he's like some terrible person or whatever. And it's like, if this dude was doing this kind of stuff in AEW, I think I would have enjoyed him then.
The problem I have with it is he was. And then other new shiny toys came in,
He did kind of come in when they started to like sign a bunch of people, yeah.
Because he came in from TNA when it was like, oh, he's gonna be able to do some stuff. He had a fun feud with Darby. He did some stuff with Jericho. He did that stuff, and then it was just like, yeah, but we've got this guy and that guy and this guy's here. Back a line, bub. You know?
I wish I could have put Lexus King on this list.
Fuck. I'm not putting Lexus King on the list. But I wish I could too. But I will put Charlie Dempsey on the list.
He's fun.
I think the NQCC is awesome. I think Tavion in particular has something.
He's got a lot of potential, yeah.
A really big breakout star. Miles Bourne showed me something at Deadline. That tag match was phenomenal. Charlie Dempsey is coming into his own with the quirkiness, and Ren, the pairing of him and Ren, it's great. I'm showing my bias.
Yeah.
I watch NXT.
I have to side note us right now. Are they fucking?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Charlie Dempsey and Red Sinclair have chemistry together that immediately and always has made me thought these two they either fucking or they want to. It's one or the other. They can't not have some kind of spark going on there.
It would make me very happy to know that their chemistry exists beyond the television screen because it's strong. The chemistry is strong, and I hope that we're talking an NXT champion Charlie Dempsey in the next 12 months.
Well, if it ends up coming out that they're fucking, you heard it here first.
I like that you really emphasized that 3 times.
Fucking. Yeah.
They're fucking.
They're, he's got a new finisher, and it's something about Pound Town. I don't know.
Not Pound Town.
What other ones you got? Anybody else?
Those were the main ones. I think Carmelo is being underutilized. Like there's some I want to say underutilized. Right? Like Carmelo's underutilized.
He should have won that championship. That's kind of crazy he didn't.
I think Chad Gable, for the year he's had, he went in a complete circle and is back to being underutilized. But for me, I'll go beyond just Charlie. I'll say NQCC.
Oh, shout out to another one that I forgot to add on my list, but I'm going to add it retroactively. Xavier Woods.
He really should get a singles title.
He really should.
He deserves it.
Who knows? Maybe this heel turn will end up actually doing it.
We're going to talk about them again.
Yeah, they'll come back up. So kind of in the same thing as recognition, but slightly different. Improvement in a superstar. Now, obviously improvement on the positive is biggest upgrade. On the downside, it's the biggest downgrade. Lack of an improvement or regression of this person. So it's a comparison to last year, which means that there are people that you can't really put on the list because they weren't a part of the company last year or something, or, maybe they just had like a lateral movement. So my options that I had for the biggest downgrade were Bobby Lashley. He had this thing with the Pride, and then they promptly said, we don't fucking care anymore.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who think that there's a lot of that going around where suddenly some black superstars just stop being pushed.
Well, you could toss that for a couple different people. I don't have anybody else on my list for this part that's black.
At the very least, you gotta say that whole thing with the Pride doesn't bode well for those, those accusations and that whole mindset.
Yeah.
They just stopped using them.
That tanked. It was so stupid. And the Hurt Syndicate's cool. So it's like, why did you just not do that? That was great. You could have just gone back to that and it would have worked perfectly. It's doing that in AEW. But I've got Von Wagner, major contender for biggest downgrade. He was pushed a lot in
Man,
2023.
it has not come Tuesday anymore.
It is not. He just is right out of the company. Drew Gulak.
Yeah, fuck that. Goodbye.
Yeah. Giovanni Vinci.
That's a contender.
And the other one I had down, and I don't know which one of these five I'm going to pick, but the other one I have down is Nikita Lyons.
Yeah.
A lot of people paying a lot of attention to her. She keeps getting injured. She comes back, and it's like, all right, well, she no
longer has knees that work.
she's no longer like even able to do what she did before, which was still kind of sloppy. People are over her as far as like her looks. Like, I don't see anybody going crazy about her anymore. Her promos haven't gotten any better either. Her character is like losing to like Adriana Rizzo, who's like what, like a third of her size or something.
Where do we rank Rizzo's accent on this list? There's no proper category for that. There should be.
It's a little bit
Yeah.
on the higher up. So I don't know which one. You could go with Giovanni Vinci here as being a member of Imperium and then being ousted from Imperium and then taking a bunch of months off just to come back as his shitty NXT gimmick and then losing 2 quick matches to Apollo Crews and then fucking off again and only wrestling dark matches and losing to Apollo Crews. Might go with him. I don't know.
I can't go with him because I have to go with Odyssey Jones.
See, I can't go Odyssey Jones' biggest downgrade because last year he got drafted to the Raw roster and wasn't around. This year he got drafted to the roster and he at least showed up.
Well, this year he showed up and then immediately gets found out to be a piece of shit. And there goes all of that. What a waste of time. What a waste.
They would have saved themselves so much effort if they would have just released him way back. Yeah.
You know who's another one? Jimmy Uso. I'm really shitting on Rikishi's kids. I don't know why.
Jimmy didn't have a great year. No.
Seriously, this was the year. And I'm going to mention Jimmy Uso one more time at some point here. I think it became clear. Jay Uso is the Shawn Michaels. Jimmy is the Jannetty and now needs to be like he needs to be in the Usos to be relevant.
Yeah.
Whereas Jay,
that's a good pick.
Can do his own thing. Actually, you know what? If we're going to say Odyssey Jones bullshit aside, I'm going to say Jimmy Uso.
That's a really good pick. He went from being a main member of this bloodline thing and having a big spotlight match at WrestleMania both years, and then just like nobody missed him when he was gone. And the match at WrestleMania wasn't good.
And the match at WrestleMania was the nail in the coffin.
Yeah. He comes back and he comes back with very little fanfare. And it's like, okay, well, you're actually just like a part of this, but can we get Jay back in the mix? Can we get Sammy back in the mix?
I was going to say, there wasn't little fanfare. I disagree with that. There was a lot of fanfare, but it was simply because, oh shit, that means we're getting Jay back in this. That means, you know.
So, biggest upgrade. Thankfully, there are plenty of options on that. Not going to give it to Axiom and Nathan Fraser, but I got to give them credit. Massive upgrade this year.
They're the best tag team this company has. Spoiler.
I gave some honorable mentions to Ethan Page. I wrote down newcomer, but this is based off of his spot in AEW. That's why I'm not going to give him one of those, because it's like technically he wasn't a part of it this year, but I did want to give him a shout out again. Lyra Valkyria. I started this year being like, oh my God, I hate her title reign. And I think her character sucks. And I don't think that this is going well. And then she got better and better throughout the year. And I'm like, all right, well, they slowed down the push. And she's at a realistic spot right now where she might end up winning the Intercontinental Championship. And I'm like, I'm okay with that. She wouldn't be my top pick. But okay, you didn't push her too far too fast. Not going to give her the biggest upgrade, though. Because an even bigger upgrade, like as far as like pure quality from being awful to being better, Lash Legend.
Solid pick. She's fun.
You could give a shout out to Oba Femi of being a guy that only wrestled on Level Up to then winning the NXT Breakout Tournament, winning the North American Championship, being undefeated other than 2 losses to Tony D'Angelo, winning the Iron Survivor Challenge. Oba Femi's kicking some serious ass. He went from being like a name nobody knew to being like, this guy's fucking awesome. Let's put him on the main roster.
Hey, I want to point to that. By the way, check the notes. I'm saying that a lot this podcast. Go back to the very first podcast of the year with the one to watch. I said Oba Femi will be a champ this year. About 24 hours later, he cashes in that contract and becomes the North American champion. Oba Femi kicks ass.
Oba Femi's great. I can't wait until he ends up being just like a top tier dude.
Oba Femi should absolutely be a top tier dude. To that effect, even though last year was kind of his breakout year, I'll throw him on there for this year as well. Trick Williams has all the charisma, the natural charisma of what you think of when you think of a WWE superstar.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like everybody's always obsessed with finding the next Rock, right? This dude has it. He's got it in spades. I think he's tremendous. If you want to talk about people who weren't even in the company, Jacob Fatu.
That's a big upgrade to not be in the company and then to be in that kind of spot. Yeah.
And at one point, this motherfucker, it was like, well, with his history, I don't know if he's ever going to get in the company. And now he's tearing it down and is the best part of this new bloodline. You know, I think so. But all right, I have 2 choices for biggest upgrade.
I'm curious if one of those is the one that I'm ultimately picking.
They're both women.
Okay.
The first, I think this is the runner-up, even though she's doing so good and deserves everything she's just gotten, is Chelsea Green.
Not my pick, but I'm really liking Chelsea Green. She's done a lot of good stuff. And she actually, now that she won the Women's United States Championship, that's a big upgrade. Yeah.
That's a big upgrade. She went from being like, okay, she's having fun. She knows her spot. She's doing the tag team thing and all that, to being, wow, this woman turns every scene she's in into money because she knows her character so well, and she's the perfect, like she keeps saying, I want to be the female Miz. She's already the perfect female Miz, you know? And
you might actually have the same pick that I have then.
Maybe not, because you might be thinking of a different blonde. I'm going Liv Morgan.
Okay, so we don't have the same choice.
It's her year. It's Liv Morgan went from being it's really cute that like she got to beat Rousey, and she backed down the card in tag teams, and she'll probably just be like mid card for life, to being the actual face of the women's division for this company. And she's forever like etched in. 2024 was the year of Liv Morgan. She beat Becky Lynch. She beat Rhea Ripley several times. Was a huge heel. It's Liv Morgan for me.
She's a great pick for those reasons. She did. I mean, like, she won that belt from Ronda Rousey with a fluke with the Money in the Bank in 2022. She didn't do fuck all for 2023.
I think I just figured out who your pick is. And if it's the person I'm thinking of, it's a good pick. Did you pick Nia Jax?
I picked Nia Jax.
Yeah.
Who the fuck would have ever thought
yeah.
that would be like biggest upgrade is Nia Jax. She's another one that I wrote on my biggest winners of the year. I'm like, Nia was like, everybody wanted her out of the company. Everybody shit on her. Everybody was celebrating when she got fired. And she comes back and people are like, oh no, this is terrible. She's going to ruin everything. She's batting around Raquel and Rhea in like a dangerous way and all. 2024, the woman has better promos than she's ever had. She's better in the ring she's ever been. She's got a better character than she's ever had. She wins fucking Queen of the Ring. She wins the WWE Women's Championship, and she seems like she deserves to have it. I never thought I'd be in a position where she'd be the champion for multiple months, and I'd be like, it's okay. I don't think we need to change the championship immediately.
Can't think of anybody better, huh?
And I'm like, holy shit, I gotta give it to Nia Jax.
I agree.
This is one of those things where it's like people go like, oh, Tony's not fair. I will always admit when I was wrong about certain things, and I was wrong about thinking that she would just have a terrible year. Look, I was wrong about Sheamus back in the day. I was wrong about Daniel Bryan.
I was wrong about Sheamus myself.
I'm not going to say that Nia Jax was great this entire time, because she wasn't, but she's had a great 2024. I
agree.
Shout out to Nia, man. Insane.
Completely agree.
Let's go to ring work. I don't think I really need to explain that one. If you don't know what that is, how the hell are you listening to the 15th annual Smark Out Moment Awards and you don't know what ring work is? I've got a couple down for both. Options for... Oh, wow, I just realized I only have one man down for the honorable mentions or whatever for the worst ring work. Now, again, keep in mind, this is also like, again... I'm not trying to throw in people that I don't know, like Drake Moreau could be awful, but I don't follow NXT Level Up, so I don't fucking know. My options that I wrote down for the men, for the worst of the ring work, the man's option is Tongaloa.
Well, we can stop right there.
But you got a lot of the women's options too, because you got B-Fab. You got Elektra Lopez, you got Maxine Dupree, you got Nikita Lyons, and you got Valhalla.
All right, so I will take those each one by one. B-Fab is trying. She's improving. She's not great, but she's not terrible.
She's been a part of the roster for how long, though?
Yeah, but she literally came in with 0. So, like, it's taking her some time, but she's getting there. Maxine Dupree, I would actually argue, is very much improved.
She has.
She's comfortable in her own skin.
She wouldn't be my pick, but she's in that running of, like, she's still got a lot of work to do. Elektra's been around long enough that she should be better.
Elektra Lopez.
She has been better lately, though, than she's ever been. I'll say that, too.
I haven't seen her lately.
The last match that she just had on SmackDown was arguably the best performance I think I've ever seen her do.
Valhalla... It's fine. She's completely harmless, and she's just had another baby. And congratulations to her and Eric Rowe.
It's so awkward, Eric Rowe, because you wanted to say Rowan, right?
Yeah, I sure did.
Yeah. And Nikita Lyons, though.
Nikita Lyons, I can't defend. Nikita Lyons, I cannot defend. But however, it's fucking Tongaloa. So none of that matters. Tongaloa.
Yeah, Tongaloa. I mean, how do you botch a low blow?
How do you botch a low blow that you hit your man?
Do you have anybody else down?
I don't think so, because look, all of the NXT people, like, I could be mean and say Lexus King, like, maybe he should be better, but I also think he's not yet comfortable in his own skin, and the weird gimmick of, like, trying to make this man comfortable is taking too much time, and I think he was probably better off just coming in as Brian Pillman Jr. But we'll see what happens there.
I think if Callum was on this list, he probably would toss out Jade Cargill's name. Because he really isn't a fan of her in the ring.
Well, right, and it's because of the whole, like, oh, they made a point to say that they had a teacher from the beginning. And, like, look, it's fine. It's, like, Jade does Jade. You know, like, I'm not going to sit here and say I expect so much more from her. It's, again, not great and would be closer to worse than best. But I'm not hurt by it personally. Tongaloa just is like a big sore thumb of this whole bloodline thing, you know? And how do you botch holding up a championship?
Yes, Kali.
How do you win a championship because you didn't win a championship? But Jacob Fatu won the championship for you, and then Solo said, "Give your belt to Tangaloa," and then you couldn't even hold up the belt.
Yeah. The big sore thumb of the bloodline. That's a good way of putting it. Best in ring work, though. We got a lot of people that are really great. I don't really know exactly who I'm going to go in, but it's going to be one of these groups. One of this group, I should say. No, I'm not multiple groups. Bianca Belair, always reliable, always great.
Not this year, but yeah, you're right. Always reliable, always great.
Braun Breaker, hell of a fun guy to watch.
I'm on record. He's going to be the biggest thing in the next 2 years.
Carmelo Hayes, always fun to watch.
Kind of took a bit of a downgrade when he went on that main roster, though.
He did. That's why I'm not going to go with him, but he did. Chad Gable, reliable as all hell.
And had a great year. Had some matches with Sami Zayn. Had some matches with Gunther. Should have won something.
Speaking of Gunther. Gunther.
Gunther. Look, Gunther's my pick. Like, Cody Rhodes is great. You know, AJ Styles had a banger match with Cody Rhodes. I'm going to talk more about their match later on. Gunther is the legit best main event wrestler in the world right now, to me. He wrestles the way I would like people to wrestle. He's presented the way I'd like my top guy to be presented. He was champion for 666 days with the IC title. No one's breaking that. Period. No one. It took 40 fucking years to break the Honky Tonk Man. You know, he had a great match with Randy. He had a great match at Saturday Night's Main Event. He's, you know, brought something special out of Damian Priest. Gunther's the man. And I think he's the best wrestler in WWE.
Case can be made for sure. I've also got down Sol Ruka, one of the best.
Fun.
Stephanie Vaquer, been liking every performance that she's done. Sami Zayn, good old reliable Sami Zayn.
Strong year.
And I also have Seth Rollins down. And I think I might actually give it to Seth Rollins because now that we know how he was at WrestleMania, it was like, all right, damn, that's impressive.
Yeah. I mean, Seth Rollins, even though, like, yes, he's technically wrestled 2 WrestleMania main events, I still feel like he deserves a major show closing performance. He's yet to be the main event of WrestleMania. You know what I mean? And he's so good. If he wrestled more, I'd probably give it to him. But I've got to go Gunther because the consistency is there like no other.
Now, mic work. I also shouldn't have to explain. If you don't know what mic work is, what the hell?
Who's Mike?
The Miz.
Does he work?
Better than a lot of other people would give him. He almost ended up being my most underrated. Again. Like, consistently one of my most underrated, but I didn't put him this year. Because Awesome Truth sucks.
Yeah, that's a good reason not to put him.
So, worst on the mic, I've got the typical... Look, the people that don't really cut any promos at all, you can throw any of their names on here. These people that are like just starting off in NXT and can't cut a promo. The people don't speak English really well. They don't really give them a chance to cut their promos in their native language, so that ends up sucking, you know. You can throw all them in there. That's a cop-out answer, so I'm not going to go with that. So instead, here are some people that actually should be cutting better promos and just continuously don't. The Unholy Union, Alba Fire and Island On, are on my honorable mentions list at least. Ilya Dragunov. I don't ever really buy almost anything that he says, and it's like supposed to be real tough and angry and all, and I'm just like,
you leave that theater kid alone.
Katana Chance and Kaden Carter.
They were on your list last year too.
Have you ever heard them cut a promo that you actually went, oh, I could see those two people beating somebody up in the ring?
The last time I heard Katana Chance cut a promo, it was when she was reintroducing herself as Katana Chance, where
Yeah, I'm not going to call myself Casey Catanzaro anymore. I'm going to call myself
yeah,
Katana Chance because
yeah, because it's all about I'm all about having a good time and shooting straight whiskey. So I'm gonna be Katana Chance. Okay, sure.
it was awful. Pete Dunne is on my list as well.
Yeah, but is that because he's not good on the mic, or is that because they won't let him get rid of the name Butch? And his whole gimmick right now is
It's a bad
I was
gimmick.
Butch and I'm mad at it. Or, I'm mad. I'm so mad. I'm Butch.
Yeah, you're going to hear that on my gimmick thing here for sure. Tyler Bate. He's been up and around for a long portion of this year, but Tyler Bate almost never cuts a good promo for me.
Tyler, not the master bait.
And then I don't have an opportunity to say his name almost any other times anymore. So I will put it out there as he might be my runner-up. Because there is somebody that I think it's more annoying at this point than he was. But he's not going to be on the roster anymore. So I do have to mention, I have the opportunity to put Scripps down.
Oh, you know,
He was still a part of the roster this year.
Yeah, fuck Scripps.
Scripps is terrible.
Actually, he's doing great work in GCW.
Is he really?
He's doing great work.
But I'm going to go, and this might be like, Tony's ruffling some feathers here. Worst on the mic, Roxanne Perez.
Oh, that's not nice. That's not.
I hate her promos.
That's not nice. She's trying to sports entertain you.
She's failing at it. Like, I like Roxanne, but her promos are terrible. And it's like, I want her to be great because she seems like a nice girl. She's talented in the ring. She's got a lot of upside to her. She's super young. All these things that are like, great, 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 great. And then she cuts these heel promos, and I'm like, I do not buy you being a bitch. And I do not buy you being intimidating. And every line that she says feels like she's just trying to remember the next line of the script. And when she stumbles, it all goes to hell. I don't know how this has gone on this long and they haven't been like, all right, we need to tweak something here. Because it's just never good. Oh my God, the last promo that I remember her cutting, the one where she's like, nobody beats the Prodigy, and she said it like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, okay, that was right before the Iron Survivor thing. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not gonna go with Roxanne Perez. I think she's great. I don't think she's like the best on the mic, but I don't think she's the worst either.
For being in her position as the top women's champion for as long as she's been, she needs to be better.
All right, now tell me this. Let's talk about Rizzo's accent.
It's awful.
I can do that here. What is that accent supposed to be?
It's supposed to be a little like De Niro.
They did a whole bit where she and Tony D basically did Rocky 3.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just so silly. Like it's not my worst because it's fun. It's just so silly.
Shout out to Tony D'Angelo as being one of my honorable mentions for best.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm. It's weird. I'm fully at the point where I don't know if they're gonna translate well to the main roster.
They might not. It's worth a shot though.
It's just so silly. Soul Sokoa, I don't love on the mic.
That's a good option, yeah.
On the flip side, Tama Tonga, it gets maybe the best. No, realistically, and again, this is personal. I don't expect other people to say this, but yeah, we forced Yeet into a lot of things this year. Sometimes the joke is fun, and then it gets bad, and then it gets fun again. Right now, we're in the bad for me. He says yeet fucking everything. And I respect it. Like, The kids love it. They do the bouncy dance and all that. They're like, come on.
Yeet. That's my response.
Yeah, I mean, definitely that honorable mention being, final boss Rock. Anytime he chooses to break out a guitar and sing Jailhouse Rock.
I hated that.
I can't think of any like bad women on the mic that really stand out to the point where I have to put them on here. Oh, there was that one time Tiffany Stratton called Bailey Pam. And I thought that was funny because no one's ever slipped up like that. But no, I'm gonna go Yeet Man Jones.
Yeet Man Jones. Best mic work. Thankfully, I have way more options for that. Haven't quite decided who I'm going to go with on this one. I know a couple people that I know I'm not going to, but I still wanted to give them a shout out. Chelsea Green. A lot of fun.
Yeah, fantastic.
Ethan Page. Not going to be my pick, but shout out to him.
As fuck.
Grayson Waller. Pretty fun on the mic.
Charismatic as fuck.
Ludwig Kaiser.
Oh, he's so good.
R-Truth.
I'm over it.
I find him funny still.
He's still funny, yes, but I am over it.
I mentioned Tony D. It's just silly and funny. I like it.
Yeah.
Roman Reigns, although I can't give it to him either because he still sometimes every once in a while is just kind of like, all right, I think you could get a little bit more energy there. Seth Rollins, reliable as all hell. Kevin Owens, always pretty much somewhere in the mix for me. He cuts great promos all the time. Cody Rhodes.
Cody Rhodes, when he's serious, is really good.
Mm-hmm. The two that I'm really debating about between are CM Punk, which is like, that's Punk's shtick. Like, of course, he's pretty good in the ring, on the mic. But I think I'm going to give it to Dominic Mysterio.
Any specific thing he said?
Just Dom in general. Just when he comes out and he's talking, I find it fun.
Dom might be the best character on the show right now. Not like best wrestler, not like you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
but he is getting even better in the ring too. So it's like this kid's like way more improved as time goes on. It's so funny.
Yeah, it's CM Punk. It's not even close. I didn't need any other names to consider. When Punk talks, and I felt this since he came back in 2021 to AEW, when the man talks, I immediately go, that is what is missing. That is what every other wrestler lacks. When he talks, you care. And a lot of people, I know when he came back last year, people were like, oh, he's washed because he was doing a lot of like, I'm home promos. And he still hasn't done anything remotely like rebellious. But anytime he speaks, you're like, this dude rules. This guy, he makes every situation mean something. He's got everybody thinking about a favor that I'm pretty sure they have no idea what the favor is. It might be as real as the lockbox, but they tell you the story in a convincing fashion. And Punk is what every person should aspire to be on the microphone.
So we're going to round out the technical skills with the best and the worst matches of the year for WWE. This one is very difficult for me because I lost track of writing down the matches that I really enjoyed or really hated. And it's so difficult to do these kind of awards for very specific things like that. Because it's one thing to be like, okay, well, characters continue and they basically stay the same throughout the year. And you can be like, all right, I really liked Drew McIntyre's character this year. Or, I hated the catchphrase of so-and-so this year. matches are just like, it could be anything. It could be a random ass match on an episode of Main Event that I didn't watch. It could be a thing on NXT Level Up where the people are just terrible at it. So I'm missing stuff here, and I know that that's something that I wish I didn't have that as the case. So I apologize to everybody when I'm missing out on these awards and all that. I wrote out some stuff at the beginning of the year, and I just dropped off for that. So for some reason, I had written down under the worst of the year, Ivy Nile versus Valhalla on the January 22nd episode of Raw. I couldn't tell you what sucked about it.
Was that the one where... No, that was... What was the one where, like, Nikki Cross's head was just under a pumpkin? Was that last year? That might have been last year, actually. For Halloween. Where Nikki Cross was still doing the deadpan, like, blank stare. Not great, but that match kind of gives me the same vibe of, like, Valhalla versus Ivy Nile. I couldn't even tell you that happened.
Yeah, and it's like, there's way too many matches this year in particular that I just wasn't paying attention to. And maybe they were terrible, and I just couldn't really focus on it because I just had too many other things I was juggling. So the only things I had written down were that and Jey Uso versus Jimmy Uso WrestleMania.
Well, let me tell you, pal. You know what I have down? Jey Uso versus Jimmy Uso WrestleMania. I also have the Women's War Games. Wasn't good. It wasn't good. But no, it's Jimmy Uso versus Jey Uso. Because I was so looking forward to the match. Thinking, oh, they'll kill it with each other. And it was just awkward. And by the end of it, it was just like, oh, thank God that's over. And you shouldn't have that feeling when you're watching the Usos face each other.
I'm trying to find on Cage Match. I don't know how you can get like just like WWE matches and the rankings that people gave it. Because I mean, this Cage Match is awesome, but it's also like there's way too many like, all right, you have to narrow it down on this list, and you have to go to this page to start doing that, and you know, whatever. Because not that I trust that like everybody would know what that would be, but like, let's see if maybe I can get it on this one. If I go match guide, WWE for 2024, the matches that look like they were ranked the lowest are... Oh, there's a lot that have no ranking. Oh, great. I'm going to have to go through multiple pages to get to that because nobody's ranking like Dante Chen versus Ilya Dragunov on something or whatever. So at least the things that are ranked, they've got Jimmy and Jay Mania at the lowest ranked one. They have Liv Morgan versus Stephanie Stratton.
Is that on SmackDown recently?
Akam and Razor against R-Truth and The Miz. Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley at Bad Blood. Joe Coffey, Mark Coffey, and Wolfgang against Ridge Holland. That even happened? Oh, it was a gauntlet match. Okay. They've got Natty and Tegan against Shayna and Zoe. Karrion Kross.
Couldn't say that happened.
Yeah, I don't remember these things. Karrion Kross against Xavier Woods. Bayley and Naomi against Candice and Nia. Carlito against Jey Uso. Liv Morgan against Nia Jax from the Crown Jewel is like one of the lowest of this whole thing. This big battle royal. I'm assuming that's the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Let me see. Yeah, the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal is on the list. Sportster has a list out that has like the Pride against Final Testament, Ridge Holland versus Shawn Spears, Ivy Nile versus Zoe Stark, Nia Jax versus Jade Cargill, Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee against Legado del Fantasma from the draft episode of SmackDown. Like, I don't remember any of these things. So they must have been bad, but not bad enough for me to be like, holy shit, I have to run to my notes and add that down. So take for that what you will. Maybe Ridge Holland versus Gallus is really bad. It's on Sportster's list too. A lot of these are actually on the worst list for that. Lexus King versus Von Wagner. Io Sky versus Sonya Deville. I kind of remember that one being bad a little bit.
But I couldn't tell you.
Like all these things, like I don't remember. So I'm gonna try in 2025. Who fucking knows how that's gonna work out?
You could probably stop right there.
I'm just gonna try. But like Blair Davenport versus Naomi, yeah, I don't remember that being any good, but I also don't remember it. So yeah, at least as far as when it comes to the level of importance and the level of hype, Jay and Jimmy could have had a great match. And when you compare that to like Owen and Brett at Mania, it makes it even worse.
Yeah, I would advise people not to do that because that's not a fair comparison to anybody. But yeah, it's that's just it, because I just remember the droning feeling of like, oh, please let this be over. It's not good. No yeet. I didn't think I'd end up talking about the Usos this much. But here we are.
Now, on the positive side of things, the best match of the year, again, I didn't end up writing down a lot because I just lost track of it throughout the whole year, and, you know, that sucks, and I apologize for that. But I did have 3 matches from WrestleMania actually written down, and they are kind of in the mix here, but they're also in the mix with the Hell in a Cell match between CM Punk and Drew McIntyre at Bad Blood. I see that people have down the Ethan Page, Javon Evans, Shawn Spears, and Trick Williams down as the 3rd highest rated match of the year on Cage Match.
Really?
That's kind of crazy.
That is crazy.
Number 4 is Dijak versus Josh Briggs versus Obafemi.
Bro, I know for a fact that was a good match.
I don't remember it, but I'm sure I would have liked it. I like all 3 of those.
Wolf Dogs versus Fraxium. That on anybody's list?
Let's see. That is. Let's see if it's on here. Breaker. Yep, that's on there. That is the number 23 on this
From
list.
Stand and Deliver, right?
I think so.
Yeah, that was fantastic. I would throw in Fraxium against No Quarter Catch Crew from Deadline. I thought that was great. I thought the women's Iron Survivor was a really fun match. I thought the women's Rumble this year was good. I mean, talk about telling the story with Bayley, getting cool things like, you know, Naomi returns, Jordan Grace debuting, Jade Cargill debuting. I thought the women's Rumble was strong this year for that. I would also throw out there Randy Orton and Gunther at Bash in Berlin. I would throw out there Cody Rhodes and AJ Styles in a 5-star classic, as rated by Dave Meltzer, at Backlash. I liked the Backlash match a bit more, but there was also the I Quit match at Clash the Castle. And there's also Cody Rhodes wins the world title. I think that's worth talking about for that alone. There's also...
That is going to be my pick.
Yeah,
it's hard for me not to pick that as my favorite match of the year. I did have down the 6-pack ladder match at Mania was fun, but I wrote down maybe not a real pick underneath it. Triple Threat US title at Mania was fun, I wrote down. But it's like, at the end of the day, what's the thing that I liked the most this year in ring? It's Cody and Roman. And it's like, it's more, yeah, technically speaking, bell to bell, move to move. You might not compare that to some of this stuff. And especially if you're more of an AEW style fan, maybe that's more like, okay, well, technically speaking, they didn't have the best. They didn't do the Hurricanranas the best and all that stuff. But I'm like, you know, I'm not that type of fan. I'm not like the best performer overall is just the best person who does the most impressive moves. If Ricochet was winning every fucking category, then that'd be a different story, you know? But it's like, my favorite match of the year, the match that I would go back and watch more than any other match this year, would definitely be Cody versus Roman.
I would throw in there as well the tag match on the first night as like a package. I thought that was really fun, and we're gonna talk about this when we get into the writing awards and all that. But this year they did the 2-night Mania the best, bar none. I really enjoyed the way that one night bled into the other. I think you should do that more often. Period. And yeah, I understand that being your pick. It would be my pick too if Punk and McIntyre didn't revive Hell in a Cell. They had a Hell in a Cell match that was akin to something you might actually see in the mid 2000s. They had a Hell in a Cell match that was bloody. It was personal. I thought their feud was great. I don't care that people fucking got pissy about a bracelet. Up your ass. Like, wrestling's fake. All right?
What?
The items they're fighting over are ascribed as much meaning as you want to give them. And they weren't fighting over a bracelet. It was the fucking disrespect. And it was the fact that they hated each other. Because, everybody wants to prove Punk is a cancer. Punk just wants to live his life, and people keep wanting him to be the worst version of himself. And I thought that Hell in a Cell match was great. I thought, they brought it full circle with the beads of the friendship bracelet thing, which is a weird theme in 2024, with just in general people bringing back the friendship bracelets. Yeah, I never want to see a Hell in a Cell match without blood ever again. I never want to see a Hell in a Cell match that is just a match happening inside Hell in a Cell because the event is called Hell in a Cell ever again in my life. I thought this was the match that made me go, thank God Punk is good. He at least had one more classic match in WWE. I hope he gets his Mania main event next year. I'm excited for what he does, but that was the match of the year. It was perfect. It's a perfect Hell in a Cell match for 2024.
Alrighty, everyone. Well, that is the technical skills side of the WWE side of the Smark Out Moment of the Year Awards for 2024. Again, leave your comments below. What do you think about our choices? Did we miss out on stuff? Because I'm sure we did.
We definitely did, because everything just bleeds together.
Yeah. Then it's like maybe somebody leaves a comment and they're like, you forgot about this match. And we're like, oh my God, that's right. That was amazing. Or that was terrible. Or like, what about this botch that happened? Or this great signature move or whatever it might be. We could always retroactively just go like, yeah, it's not on the podcast, but at the same time, yeah, we decided actually it should be this instead or something. And I'll put a note somewhere or whatever. I don't know. But, that is 1/6 of the awards down. We still have 5 more to go. We are most likely going to be bouncing around between WWE and AEW. I think for the first time ever. I don't think we've ever done it like that before. I think we've only pretty much
first time
ever. Can we coexist with the AEW awards and the WWE awards going back and forth? I don't know, but we will have eventually all 3 WWE awards sections and all 3 AEW sections up on the podcast channel and everything. If you're listening to this in advance, try not to spoil it for everybody, and don't just leave a comment below of like, they picked all these or something. You know what I mean? I'll end up just deleting it if that's the case.
I mean, if you listen to it that much that you heard everything we picked, I respect it. Thank you for listening.
Yeah. We always hope that everybody is enjoying these things. We're always super appreciative of anybody that is. And, keep in mind all the things that we always talk about with like, showing your support and all the different ways that you can. Hop on a Discord server, hit that like button on this video, subscribe, ring the notification bell. Make sure that you check out the Patreon type stuff and Darkcast podcast and all that kind of stuff that we normally do there. Check out Fanboys Anonymous. Check out the link tree. Go to amangotree.com. You'll find all that stuff there. Not going to be doing plugs crazy for all these because it's a 6-episode kind of thing. So you know where to find all that stuff, and you know how to find me at Tony Mango.
Yep, and you know where to find me at DeFelice on all the social platforms. I want to apologize to Rikishi and his children for the level. I didn't realize how over your program I was, but I guess I am. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one, which will be probably the WWE Writing Awards, even if that's not the next one we record.
Yeah, the Writing Awards is coming up next for WWE. The AEW ones, we're going to do the technical side of that at some point. Maybe tomorrow afternoon, whatever. It doesn't really matter to you if you're listening to this after the fact, but we're going to figure that out and we're going to record those. So stay tuned. Click on the next video if that is already up. If you are listening to this on the audio only platforms, then you don't have to do anything because then the rest of it will just kind of roll along here. But stay tuned and tune in, and we'll see you then. This has been another Smark Out moment, and we're being counted out.